Hi YouTube, it's Kathy, and this is my weekly entertainment wrap-up for July 15th through 21st. This week I read 4 books, I watched 1 show, and I listened to 2 books. Today is going to be a little different because I usually script these videos on Sunday mornings so I can be sure to remember to talk about the things I want to talk about for each item. However, it is currently Sunday night because I just finished doing the 24 in 48 readathon, which means that I've spent approximately 24 of the last 48 hours reading, and my brain is tired. Not to mention I've vlogged the whole thing and I'm currently doing closed captions for it, so the video will be up pretty much as the readathon ends. Which means instead of giving you my very concise thoughts, I'm just gonna wing this video. Tired brain antics ahead, I'm sure. You're welcome. First book I read this week was The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. I picked this one up because I saw the trailer for it at VidCon and went, that looks pretty good. However, I picked it up not knowing that this is actually a trilogy with a bunch of little in-between books, so I've only read the first one and I'm probably not going to read them all before I see the movie next month. Also from the trailer, it looks like they changed a bunch of things, but either way, I enjoyed this book. This book is about a disease that starts plaguing all of the children. Basically, when they hit puberty, all the children start getting this disease. A lot of them die off, and the ones that don't basically have some form of superpower. Some people have telekinesis, some people can control electricity, some people are just really good at math. And our protagonist can control people's minds, which is just not a good thing considering kind of her origin story. Basically, all the kids that live are shipped off to camps where they're being rehabilitated, but the government is not doing that. This is a great dystopian adventure story, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it on the big screen because although I really loved reading it and I really fell in love with the characters, I'm really excited to see all of the action sequences on the big screen. Because I don't have a viewfinder, I had no idea until I was editing last week's video that there was sweat pouring down my face, so if that's happening again, it's summer. The next book I read was The Prince and the Dressmaker by Jen Wang, and it was freaking adorable. I sat down thinking that I was just going to start it the day before 24 and 48, and I just read it all in one go. This is a graphic novel about a prince who likes to wear dresses and hires a dressmaker for that purpose. It's about him going out on the town as his alter ego and the friendship that he has with the dressmaker, and I just loved it. It was incredibly positive and just basically, you do you, and I adored it. I don't know how many ways I can say that. I just loved this and everyone should read it. Next I read an e-arc of What If It's Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera, and it was so good. So this is a meet cute split into 2 different perspectives. On the one hand we have Ben, who at the beginning of this book is mailing a box of breakup stuff back to his ex-boyfriend. On the other hand we have Arthur, who is in town for the summer because his mom basically had to work on a big case in town. They meet at the post office and they're really digging each other, but they don't exchange numbers because something big and extravagant kind of gets in the way, and then the novel is just them trying to find each other again. There's so many good things to say about this book. Firstly, you can tell which perspective was written by which author based on the own voices aspects. Secondly, it talks a lot about privilege and different layers of it. And thirdly, it has a great representation of healthy sexual communication. As soon as I heard this was going to be a thing, I knew that I was probably going to love it, and I did. There was a point when I was about 80% through, and you can see this in my vlog from the 24 and 48, where I got concerned that it was gonna be a really, really sad ending because Adam Silvera. And I'm absolutely not going to spoil anything, but there are some sad moments in this for sure. Just like there are some extremely elated moments. I need to move on, otherwise I'm just going to keep gushing about this book and how cute it is and how I'm so excited for other people to read it when it comes out. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Next I read Love, Hate and Other Filters by Samira Ahmed. This one was okay. I've seen this book either hauled or in a lot of wrap-ups recently, and what people usually say about this is it's about a teenage Muslim girl in America, and she has the same surname as somebody who perpetrates a terrorist attack near her town. And then her family has to deal with some racism because of it. Because I've heard this over and over again, I was really surprised that that event takes place about halfway through the book. And I knew it was coming because before every chapter there's this other perspective where you're talking about a completely different character that we don't really know, who is somebody who's clearly having a troubled upbringing and ends up doing this terrorist attack. But because it happens halfway through, it seems that the book is paced really strangely. I could have done without those pre-chapter bits about the other person. Or perhaps only have them trickle into the narrative after? Because when I initially think about this, I think about a girl who really wants to go to NYU to study film, whereas her parents expect her to be a doctor or a lawyer. And then this is just one of the things she has to deal with in this very big snowball of so many things that she's having to deal with in this very short amount of time. Because not only does she have school worries, she has boy worries, and then this happens, and then everything starts crumbling. I've also heard that there are some problems in terms of the representation in the book, so please feel free to seek out any reviews by Muslim and/or Indian readers. The show I watched this week was Survivor. We finally finished season 5, which is Thailand, which is a dumpster fire of a season, and I just didn't want anyone to win. And then we started Survivor Amazon, which starts out with a team of women and a team of men. Oh my goodness, the men on this season, about 5 out of the 8 of them, I just want to slap them upside of the head for being such sexist douchebags. They're also super cocky because they're like, well, we're stronger than the girls, so we're gonna win everything, and then the women start kicking their butts. So much so that they have to change the game a little bit and mix it up so that there's boys and girls on each team. This is also the season that has a deaf castaway, and I adore her. The first book I listened to this week was A Tale for the Time Being by Ruth Ozeki. This is my friend Sajid's favorite book, so it's been on my TBR for quite a while, and I did a smart thing. I talked my local Nerdfighter book club into picking this for their book so that I would have a reason to finally read it. We wanted to read something by a Canadian author, and Ruth Ozeki is from an island very close to the island I live on. This is a book about a woman, also named Ruth. Possibly the writer is writing about herself. It sure seems like it because Ruth is also a writer. She's going for a walk on the beach one day on her island, and she finds this bag with some stuff in it, and she thinks it's just garbage, and she's gonna take it home and throw it in the actual garbage instead of it going back out to ocean. But when they open it up, there's a diary and some letters in it. Upon reading it, she finds out this is the diary of a 15-year-old girl in Japan. The story from there trades back and forth with Ruth getting very worried about this girl in Japan, and this girl in Japan having some really terrible times at school. There is some incredibly extreme bullying. In addition to that, the girl is also writing about her great-grandmother, who happens to be a nun, as well as her great-uncle who died in World War II as a kamikaze pilot. Basically, there's a whole lot going on. This book spans Canada and Japan. It's super interesting. If you listen to the audiobook, it's also narrated by the author, which is somehow extra special. And I was immediately hooked in because I was like, okay, this is an island off the west coast of Canada. Which one? And as soon as she said a place name, I looked it up and it's Cortez. And there's a possibility I've been to that island? Maybe like 10. Nope, high school was longer ago than that. Maybe a while ago. The prose is beautiful. It goes into some very strange places, and I'm a sucker for somebody who writes in a diary-style format, which is possibly why the only time I finished NaNoWriMo is when I was writing in a diary-style format. I would have more things to say about this book, but again, I am super tired and I finished it at the beginning of the week, so yep, just go follow Sajid. He talks about it. And the second audiobook I finished this week was Honestly Ben by Bill Konigsberg. This is the follow-up to Openly Straight, and it follows Ben's perspective instead of Rafe's perspective, which was the perspective in the first book. So this follows closely after Openly Straight ends, so spoiler for the end of that book. There were 2 boys, they were sort of seeing each other, and then at the end of that book they kind of broke up. Ben had never thought about guys before and then started experimenting with Rafe, but the thing is, he's pretty sure he's still straight. In fact, he meets a girl, he really likes her, and starts dating her. He even does a little bit of research and tries to go online to see if he's attracted to random dudes on the internet, but he really just feels like he's straight, but happens to be gay for Rafe. One of my biggest annoyances with this book is it took about until halfway through before someone even mentioned bisexuality. And then in the same conversation where it was brought up, there were some anti-bi jokes. And here's my thing, I'm totally fine with the fact that Ben does not identify as bi. He's a straight guy who has fallen in love with one guy. That happens. Sexual fluidity. That's a thing. But in a book where somebody is questioning their sexuality, you do not need to put down bisexuality. You do not need to say that bi guys are just the guys that are not ready to come out as gay. That is silly. Don't do that. Other than that frustration, I really enjoyed this book. It was a very cute love story. And this was another book that spent a lot of time talking about privilege, which is very important because not everybody gets it. That's it for this week. If you've read, watched, or listened to any of these, let me know about it down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you very soon. Bye!